Yeah. Wow, drive-through penalties out of everybody. Holy cow, Gage Brock, wow, and just bumps Franco into the wall. What was that? That's that's gonna definitely be a penalty. Wow. That was horrible. Okay. So I'm just speechless. A lot of battling here. Really missed all the overtakes on turn one. I was just completely speechless with the dirty drive between Gage Brockway and Franco. But anyways, Gage Brockway up to P1, but has a drive-through. Juan Lorenzo P2, Joshua Weekly P3, Jamari P4, Carter Brown P5 with a drive-through. Caden P6, Nico falls to P7. Peter Johnson now at the P9. Wyatt falls to P11. Franco falls all the way to P15 as Lorenzo overtakes Brockway down the back straight. See if there's going to be any moves here. Doesn't look like it. Josh with an incredible move. Looks like who is that? Brockway Pitts. Okay, I thought he pulled off some ridiculous move there. But Lorenzo in a sea of hard tires, the only one on mediums in the top 14 right now. So definitely a different strategy than the rest of the drivers on the grid. Jamari hunting down Joshua Weekly. Nico gets around Bleak Stew. Bleak fighting back still. Nico holds him off. Still the closest battle on the field currently. Caden now up to P4. Brockway going to try to have a comeback in his own fashion. Watch this battle between Bleak as Mason looks to take Oliver Brandon on the outside. Can't hold him off. Oliver wheel to wheel through the final turn. Oliver goes wide, goes through the sign, falls behind Mason. Joshua Weekly catches back up to Juan. So it looks like we're going to have a three-way battle for first here. Trying to keep an eye on these other times. Nico and Caden now having a battle for P4 after another not so ideal race start from Nico. On the hunt to get back where he once started. Nico just hanging behind, not going to send the dive bomb. Peter Johnson gaining on Mason. These two are battling for P7. See what comes down to this turn one here. Weekly sitting patiently behind Lorenzo. Brockway gets up into P9. Nico makes a move around Caden. Caden has the inside, though. Wheel to wheel, has to leave room, leaves room, but is it too much as Nico slips through for P4? But Caden not far behind, not going to give up position. Nico takes the inside here. Caden forced to go wider. Nico trying to run away with it. Now back up to the top here. So Lorenzo, the only driver on the field right now to have mediums. One, don't know how this is going to pay off for him. Me personally, as his team principal, I love this. This is, I wanted both my drivers honestly start on mediums, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see the different outcomes here. Carter Brown jumps up to P10. Not really any more close battles throughout the field. Oh, Jamari gets around Joshua Weekly. Weekly goes wide. Looking to hold in there. Carter battling for that P10. Fairly equal space between amongst the three drivers. Five-second gap between. Oh, and Weekly locks up, misses. Antonio Jones retires from the session on track. So hopefully no safety car there. Don't believe so. So Antonio gives up. Jamari looking to send it on the inside. Lorenzo. Go wheel to wheel. They lock each other. Jamari sends it too much. Through goes Weekly. So Weekly now back up to P1. Through a little collision between the Alpine and Williams driver. Nico looking to try to gain advantage from that. Franco retires from the session after having a horrendous start due to dirty driving. Not from him, though. Not from him. I'm not going to call anybody out. So Weekly just trying to build that second gap on Lorenzo, trying to get him out of there. So he does not have boost, which he doesn't actually right now. Weekly, no, I think Weekly has boost, or does not have boost. Josh locking up a lot around here. These two. I know, Franco. No. So Jamari gets around. Sorry, I was looking at my phone. Jamari gets around Lorenzo. It's like Peter Johnson and Mason still having battle of their own. I'm really curious how this is going. Peter Johnson gets around Mason. Looks like Mason ran out of boost. Gosh, I gotta tune in on that every once in a while. Lorenzo trying to take Jamari on the inside, not enough. Brockway gaining time in P9. Peter Johnson gets back around Mason. These two are duking it out for P7. Alright, I gotta get my head back in the race. Jamari catching Lorenzo, or not Lorenzo, Weekly. Brockway got that gap down now to 4 seconds to P8. Still a battle amongst these top three. Nico 3 seconds behind. Probably going to start catching his teammate here soon as the tire wear crossover. But Lorenzo might be able to make use of these two battling here, as they will be here very shortly. Jamari looks to send it down the inside of Weekly. Weekly locks up, keeps a hold of it, gets back around Jamari. Only a tenth separates. Lorenzo starting to lose pace behind him as his medium starts to get cooked up. I'm curious though when we will start to see some pit stops. A lot of people probably on a 1 though, unless they had a unexpected visit for wing damage or drive through. Brockway gets around Peter Johnson. Tune into this because I know he's not far behind Mason either. About 2 seconds. Back up to the top. Jamari Weekly still going at it. We'll tune in the gauge though whenever he closes in to Mason. But these two at the top just going at it. Jamari tries to take Weekly on the inside. Weekly gives space, uses a track. Jamari gets through, has a better exit. So Jamari now P1. Peter Johnson into the pits. Looks like Peter Johnson's on a 2-stop. Goes to mediums. Unless he's planning on making mediums last 18 laps. So that puts Wyatt Bergs back into the points, but yet still needs to pit. Lorenzo trying to knock down whatever time he can with what he has left on his tires. The blockage between the two. Joshua Weekly goes flying deep. Lorenzo still trying to make way with whatever he has. Was up to 3 seconds. Got it back down to 2. Nico still 3 seconds behind his teammate. Here we go. Gage Brockway now hunting the Red Bull Mason. Curious to see when he tries to overtake here. Carter Brown not far behind, trying to make do with what little left he has there. Mason goes a little wide. Brockway sees a light at the end of the tunnel. Using that energy, switches it back, takes the inside bumpage. Mason hits him, did not see him there or something, but Gage Brockway with no damage gets around. Mason tries him on the inside, but Gage clears the way. So Gage with a nice overtake on Mason to jump up to P7. Now back up to the top. Nico now cutting down the time to his teammate. Lorenzo losing time to the 2 drivers on hards. Looks to be some lap cars coming out. Both AI. Looking to be the pit window for Lorenzo coming up. 12 laps on these mediums around this type of track really pays the toll. So hopefully Lorenzo's got enough to get him in and have a good finish to this race. I did the same thing in Tag Franco, so, and that's kind of what I told him to do. Because, I'm engineer of the year. I think he should be good. I know it was literally you and Lorenzo on the same strat, which I kind of expected. Jamari gets turned a little bit by Weekly, but still holds off P1 back markers, which are ghosted, I think, so it might have fucked up that setting. Weekly is having a really good race. Same thing with Jamari. They're both having a strong race. Honestly, Caden too. Uh, yeah, Lorenzo, 5 seconds and falling, looking to just give his teammate boost to go into the pits and give him a little extra oomph on the next lap. Weekly just trying to hang in there, trying to keep that second gap with Jamari Vaughn. Nico now within a second of his teammate. Blake Stu now within a second of Caden, so going to see some battles here. I pitted lap 13 in the tag, and I caught back up to Lucas at the end of the race. So I don't know. I think 13 to 12 is about where you want to be on the mediums. So I mean, I don't hate it. I would have done probably the exact same thing. So Nico overtakes his teammate. So Nico now back up to P3. Interesting to see what Lorenzo does here. Should pit. He does. So good move by him. Going to be biased. Team principal. Looks like Mason. Nope, they're battling. The two Red Bull teammates. So Lorenzo, the first one to pit on a one stop, but also the only one to start on hards or mediums. So Bleak trailing behind Caden. Wonder how them tires are for both drivers. Lorenzo comes out in P7, so not the worst for him. Interesting to watch these two. World champion versus rookie. Oh, Caden closes it back off from Bleak. Very close driving between the two. Bleak gets it back, has the inside. Caden going for a switchback. Can he hold it? A little bit of contact, but a little bit more. But fairly clean racing between the two as they go wheel to wheel down into this turn. Bleak should have the better exit, which he does. So Bleak now up to P4, I believe, in his debut race. So great from the ERS legendary manager. I wouldn't say legendary, but veteran manager in ERS. But Caden is not going to give up, staying close behind. And Caden goes off into the pits. So looking the undercut, but he has to do 14 or 13 laps. Yeah, he has to do 14 laps on mediums, which will be really, really pushing it. Gage Brockway moves up to P5. Lorenzo moves up to P6. Not far behind Gage Brockway, but Brockway still needs to pit. So on 13 lap older tires, Brockway's probably just going to try to block him up here, which Lorenzo's going to just try to get around quick as he can. Lorenzo challenges him on the inside, gets around him. So good move by Lorenzo, but I feel like Gage knew he just had more pace, so didn't want to fight. Caden and Carter, both on mediums, looking to do the one stop, but has to go the distance with these tires with 13 laps of racing. Going to be very, very interesting to see how they can finish this. And now back to the leaders. Lorenzo only one within the top 7 to complete their one stop. So sitting in a fairly well position. And will have the better tires till the end, technically, since they're all going to be on mediums. It's going to struggle at first as Bleak goes to pit. Yeah, it'll be like 16 to 18. So hard window. But Bleak pits to mediums, so now he has to make use of whatever he has left. But Caden gets the undercut on him by a fair margin. So honestly, good move for Caden to pit so early, but he's really gonna have to make them tires last. Geo, the AI, Geo overtakes Isaac. Jamari all alone, P1. Caden gets around Mason. Peter Johnson is in the points. I if he hey, he's gonna score points in almost every race this year. Now Jamari pits. Joshua Weekly pits. Will Nico stay out another lap or will he pit? He pits as well. Now let's see what Lorenzo can do. Yeah, you're right. My bad. Just erase that 0 from his current position. But Lorenzo trying to beat the leaders out of the pits. Not going to beat Jamari, but will he beat Joshua Weekly? He does. So Lorenzo now up to P2 on the better long distance tire. Nico comes out of pits at P5. Gage Brockway looking to push his tires another lap, currently in P4, so he will have to pit again. Bleak passes Mason, who just now pits. So now you're going to see everybody switch over to mediums, and Lorenzo is going to be the only one on hards. But Weekly with the faster tire compound, as of now, looking to get that position back from Lorenzo. So going to be definitely interesting to see how uh, Lorenzo holds off here, being on a completely different tire strategy than the top. I say top 4, excluding Brockway. But Weekly takes the inside, pushes Lorenzo wide, gets position, which I mean, being on mediums this early, he should have more car to give. So not really too unexpected. Brockway pits, so that puts Nico back up to P4, right behind his teammate. Caden back up to P5. Exactly. I I I think I like Lorenzo's strategy a lot more here because I personally ran it and I feel like it was more beneficial. And even if he doesn't, I mean, whenever Weekly starts getting to lap 8 on these tires, it's going to really start to pay. Like, you'll start to really tell. So now everybody on mediums, besides Gio, the AI, and Lorenzo, Lorenzo just has to hold in there. Peter Johnson up to P9. Let's go, Peter. Really, no close battles besides this one for P2, which still not even that close. Almost around a second of difference. As I stand corrected, Peter Johnson and Mason battling. Definitely going to have to tune into this one. Screw everything else. These are the two you want to watch. Say Mason with a great exit there, but Peter Johnson hunting him down. needs to get behind and catch that slipstream. Somebody needs to teach him how to race. Like, Peter Johnson has so much potential. And Peter Johnson takes the inside, makes contact, sends it deep. Them two still making contact. It's going to be a fight to get to this line. Mason takes it back with a little corner cut. And I don't know how Peter Johnson got on the grass, but he did. Somebody put. Gio finally put. Yeah, this is the only battle I care about right now. Mason trying to pull away from Peter Johnson. Peter Johnson trying to hold in there. Now, let me tell you, Mason is a hell of a goalie on FC 26 pro clubs. Will say that myself. I said the only battle within a second, the only one worth watching as of now. Peter Johnson and Mason. But Mason putting that time on Peter Johnson. Almost up to a second and a half now. Mason is also on a one stop. Peter Johnson's on a two stop. So it's really a battle for points between Peter Johnson and Wyatt Bergs, but Wyatt's going to have to pick up the paces. Peter Johnson amazingly gains so much time out of nowhere. Oh, we're going to have to go back up to the top. Peter Johnson taking down the inside, sends it deep. Mason gets underneath of him, keeps a P9 from, I'm about to say the lead, P9 from him coming out of his turn. All right, so now back up to the top. Lorenzo finds himself within a second of Joshua Weekly now. So 6 lap old hards to 3 lap old mediums. I don't know the equality between the two, but Peter Johnson and Wyatt Berg's pits to go to their two-stop strategy. So it's really a battle between them two for P10 for a single point, which, I mean, a single point can go a long way. And now that leaves the Williams and the Haas up to the closest battle in the field. Still no boost, though, for Lorenzo, but making that time back. Jamari with a 5-second lead almost on Joshua Weekly. Gage Brockway hunting down Bleak. Trying to salvage what little he can get back. Gage slowly knocking off the time. 7 laps of racing left. Looks like he's going to try to overtake him down this back straight. Bleak trying to move out of the way, trying to get him out of his slipstream. Gage Brockway wants him. Will he get him? No. Falls behind coming into the hairpin. But has an amazing exit compared to Bleak. The only Audi driver to show up this season, Gage Brockway, looking to take Bleak down turn 1. Has to slow down, hit the brakes. Gets the inside on him. Gets around him, so Gage Brockway moves up to P6 with a great move on Bleak still. Lorenzo loses 2 seconds on Joshua Weekly. Finds himself almost 3.5 seconds back. So must have had a little spinach for the kid there. Caden now has to hold off Gage Brockway. 8 seconds of difference though, but Caden's on 3-lap old tires, or 3-lap older tires than Brockway. But Brockway has to deal with Bleak first. Bleak will not go away. Still having boost mode. Bleak trying not to stay too far behind. There is a caution. Who is that? Wyatt Bergs goes into the gravel. Just trying to stay out of everybody's way. Getting lapped by the Williams. Would be Lorenzo, so sorry, Mike died. Looks like Jamari Vaughn lagged out or something. Now he has Lorenzo right behind him. Jamari spinning. Weekly takes the lead. So a lot of change of events here coming into the last couple laps. Weekly, now your race leader. There's a caution between, looks like Wyatt and Brockway, but all eyes are up here. Lorenzo trying to hold him down the inside. They lock up. Them two battling back and forth. This is what got Jamari out of the league in the first place. Them two battling at Baku season 1, retaliating on each other, and led to a race ban from Jamari Vaughn, which like led to him quitting the league. So hopefully to see these two clean it up a little after so many incidences throughout this race. So it's going to be down to these two to the finish for P2. Weekly just has to run his race here. Currently leading by 3 seconds. Don't know the tire wear difference between the two. Jamari lagging all over the place. I don't know what that's all about. Got that Henry Barcera Wi-Fi, if you know, you know. Juan falling a second behind Jamari, trying to do whatever he can to get that little time back. Trying to get that boost back on him. Jamari catches back up to Weekly, though. Weekly must have spun or locked or something as he drops time. I know you're still in front of Isaac, but you got to score points, bub. Um, so as we come into 3 laps of racing, it's getting interesting between the top 3. Jamari 2 seconds behind Weekly. Lorenzo a second behind Jamari. Still anybody's race at this point. No other battles in the field. It's too late to even cause one, Carter. But I respect it. Lorenzo getting that second back on Jamari. Feel like the tires should start to cross over here. So Weekly with a 2-second lead. Lorenzo only a second behind Jamari. So Jamari's still trying to catch. Weekly's still trying to hold on to the lead. And Lorenzo just trying to get that second so he can have boost. And he must have locked up or something. Loses a second out of that last turn. So now he's back up to a second and a half. 2 laps of racing here in the China Grand Prix. Brockway now only 2 seconds behind Caden Beezer. So a lot of close down to the line here battles. Very curious to see how this finishes for a lot of these drivers. Nico and Caden kind of in the world of their own, besides Gage knocking on the back door of Caden. Or Gage, yeah, I said that. But Jamari has a second and a half from Joshua Weekly, so he makes up a half a second somewhere. Lorenzo looks like he's making up time on Jamari. Gage only a second behind Caden. Gets within a second. Tune into this real quick. Then we'll be all eyes on the last lap. King Carter Brown pits? Did I see that right? No. I don't know what that was all about. But Gage knocking at the back door at Caden Shane. Looking to secure P5. Down the back straight. Has the speed. Jamari gaining time on Joshua Weekly. Gage gets around Caden Shane in the hairpin. Caden's going to try to hold on. Gage on way fresher tires, though. So back up to the top. Joshua Weekly trying to hold Jamari Vaughn. Jamari gaining time through Sector 2. Cutting down that 2-second gap. Got it down to about a second. He's pushing. King Car gets around his teammate. The two teammates are battling for Red Bull. Jamari has it down to a second in the last straight, but is it too late? Still gaining time on Weekly. Has it down to under a second. Coming around the hairpin. Any mistake can happen here for both drivers. Weekly around the last turn. Joshua Weekly comes across the line, P1 for his first win in MasterCard. Congratulations to him. Jamari Vaughn, P2. Juan Lorenzo, P3. Nico now coming across the line for P4. Great race for Joshua Weekly. Gage Brockway comes across the line for P5. Caden Shane, P6. Blake Stew come across the line for P7. Now it's what is going on here? The Red Bull drivers just battling back and forth, making contact with each other. Don't know what's going on between these two. Why did I say Nico at 7th? So Carter Brown, P8, Mason, P9. Why does it say Nico DNF before the line? Anyways, Nico P4 though. Peter Johnson comes across the line, P10, and that is your race. Congratulations to Joshua Weekly on his first career win in MasterCard. Great race by him and Jamari Vaughn and Lorenzo to follow. But this is round 2 of MasterCard Formula One League. And weekend results, Joshua Weekly 25 points, Jamari Vaughn 24, Juan Lorenzo 23. So only a 2-second gap between the top 3, but that will conclude this race.